In this video, I'm heading out for 3 days into the remote mountains of the Australian high country. I want to go off track and explore the landscape, camping on secluded peaks, exploring old huts, and finding a hidden waterfall. I'll be doing the trip with only camping gear, clothing, and food that could have been used in this country 100 years ago, in the late 1800s and early 1900s. I also want to look deeper into the first bushwalkers in this country, who started exploring remote areas of our wilderness, cutting new trails through the mountains and valleys. I want to get a taste of what it was like for them, using the kind of equipment available to the men and women who were the trailblazers of what is now one of the most popular outdoor activities for us here in Australia. G'day everyone, welcome back to another video, and for this video I'm up in the mountains in the Australian Alps, and for the next 3 days I'm going to be delving deep into the history of the bushwalkers in this country from the very late 1800s to the early 1900s. And so I'm out here for 3 days. It's quite a well-known trail, this one. I'm on the Moroka High Plains or the Wellington Plains. I'm happy to share that when I'm on a well-known trail, but I will be going off track for a bit and trying to find my own secluded campsite. Now, there's been a lot of rain yesterday, and it's only just starting to clear up. It should clear up over the next few days, so we'll see how we go. But yeah, I'm out here with just all traditional gear from the early 1900s that the bushwalkers would have had access to back in the day. So let's go check out what we can find. Going off track now. Well, technically I'm not going off track because there's supposed to be an old walking track that goes through here. Obviously there's no markings, it hasn't been used for a long time. I'm just trying to find the path of least resistance. I've seen a few metal stakes and things like that, but it doesn't really matter if I go off track too much, because the idea is to head up the mountain here and walk along the ridge of the mountain. But let's see how I go. There's kind of what looks like could have been a track here, but everything's overgrown and no one obviously uses it, so it actually makes it more fun. It feels like a proper bit of a bush bash at the moment. Any kind of track just ends there. This is going to be hard. I hope it's not like this for long. Okay, it's just bloody scrub. Okay, oh, it's kind of starting to open up now. I'm soaking wet, not because it's rainy, the sun's come out, but just pushing up against all these trees and gum trees that are all wet from the rain, the nighttime rain. Well, if anyone would like to do the Spion Kobjay, I think that's how you say it, the Spion Kobjay track on the Wellington Plains, it doesn't exist. I reckon what's happened is a bushfire's come through here a few years ago, and all the undergrowth has just shot up, making it very scrubby. And then with no one actually doing the trail, there's no footpad, it's just a free-for-all, but it makes it fun. That's a good sign. Cans are always a good sign. So in regards to my walking setup and my clothing, this cotton shirt, this was actually my grandfather's, my pa's. from many years ago, so it's nice to wear this. He was an avid bushwalker. Woolen pants in the Gurkha style, and I've got oilskin gaiters on. Now, back in the day they did have gaiters, but they called them leg wraps, or even in World War I they had what's called the putti, like a cotton wrap around their legs, but they could have had oilskin cloth cotton leg wraps back in the day for bushwalking. It's really helped in keeping my woolen pants dry, the bottom of my woolen pants dry. I've got like an alpine rucksack, similar to the kind of rucksacks you'd get in the World Wars. A little haversack, canvas haversack as well to carry. And this beautiful thing, this is a staff I made many years ago when I've did a bunch of big walks with this, and I thought I'd bring it out here with me. It's got a cool old school look to it. So yeah, this is what I'm wearing, as well as my trusty hat. I've still got a long way to go, but I'm enjoying the walk so far. Oh man, that's crazy views. And I'm aiming for that hill over there to picture somewhere to pitch a camp tonight. Oh, I love the high plains. And the good thing about the high plains is it's pretty easy walking, because it's a lot of open country. You can kind of just move and pick a trail wherever you want, as I'm kind of doing for this walk until I reach the top of a mountain. It's meant to be low winds tonight and clear skies, so I figured that that could be a good place for a camp. Okay, I've left my pack at the bottom of this hill, and I'm just scrambling up to the point. This is really not, I don't think it's going to be good camping up here, because have a look at it. It's just bush bashing and rock scrambling, so I'll camp back down on that plain, but I just want to get up to the point so I can say I've been up there and seen the view. Well, there's the can, so I'm guessing this is the highest point here. Let's see if there's much of a view. Ah, typical. One big whiteout. Hey look, there's water up here. I don't know, should I lug my stuff up here? There's not a lot of places to set up camp. Maybe here, a bit of flat ground. And if it clears up, you have bloody views for days. No, I could pitch a tent right here. I think I should go get my bag and bring it up here. I think this is just going to be glorious for beautiful views. Okay, I got my gear. Now I'm bush bashing to the very top of this mountain, to that point where there was a bit of fresh water on the rock and heaps of good lookout views, because that's going to make for a nice camp. This is bloody tough though, I'll tell you that. Which way should I go? Don't want to slip and roll an ankle. This is the softest spot, little grassy spot in this whole area where there's no rocks. I could pitch my little tent here, semi-protected from the wind. You know, got bushes around me down low. Fantastic view there. I actually was looking, where is it? Yeah, so like this little area here, I could just dig this out a bit and put some rocks around and have a little small fire pit here. And that's pretty safe. Everything's really wet. Traditional style tent, which is basically just an oilcloth with a couple of tent poles and some guidelines. And I'm going to rig up something that I can use as a bit of a shelter for tonight. And obviously what they used back in the day was canvas tents. I could have brought a canvas tent, but it was a bit heavy, so I thought I'd go this simpler option. plenty of room on the inside. Now, I thought I'd just show you for bedding. I have my Jack Stillman wax poncho, and obviously this can double up as a rain poncho. Hopefully we don't get any more rain for this trip, but I'm going to use it as a ground sheet, and this is pretty much all I'm going to sleep on tonight. Might be a bit rough, but oh well. Okay, now this here is a beautiful item that I have. Now, I've been trying to research the history of sleeping bags, and you know, around the late 1800s and early 1900s, people started experimenting with the sleeping bag, and you know, a lot of times it was full of, they stuffed it full of wool, horsehair, a bunch of different stuff, makeshift kind of sleeping bags. Now, obviously, in the 1800s, the woolen blanket was the common thing to head outdoors with. Problem with a woolen blanket, coming into winter, you need a few of them to be able to keep warm, and still it's quite cold, and they get heavy. So I was thinking, what could I do that's authentic to, you know, the old timers and what they might have used, but can keep me really warm, but also is light to carry? And I had a look, and I found I actually found a canvas goods catalogue from the 1930s, and it had duck down sleeping bags in it. But of course, the lining was all cotton. Now, sleeping bags and sleeping quilts today, all of them have synthetic linings. And obviously that's not what the old fellas used to use. I understand synthetic linings, it's a bit more waterproof, it's a bit lighter, but I love that heritage material. So I kind of reached out to a few people. I reached out actually to Neve Gear and asked them if they could do quilts in cotton, and they directed me to someone who does the Neve Gear style quilts, so the Waratah quilt and the Bandicoot, I think it is, sleeping bag, but here in Australia, custom made, Australian made sleeping quilts. So her name is Deborah from Dark Moon Hiking. I reached out to her and asked her would she be able to make one for me, and this is what she's come up with. Now, this is a cotton lining duck down sleeping bag, and it's rated to -5, I do believe. So this will be my first night testing it out here, but I reckon I'm going to be cozy and warm. And it looks and smells absolutely beautiful. It's very light, it compacts very good, and being ducked down, I should be very warm tonight. Oh, it smells great. Oh, all right. I'm going to set my bedding up in there, and away we go. All right, this is where I'm sleeping tonight. So this spot here, I'm going to get some big rocks and put around here, and this is going to be my little place for a fire pit. Wet. Trying to find dry stuff. It's very wet. I don't know if this is going to take off. Alright, that was very hard to try and find any kind of tinder that was semi-dry. Everything is so wet at the moment. So I have this, hopefully that goes. And because matches were around in the early 1900s, I thought I'd make it easy for myself. I'm bringing matches on this trip. Guys, I wanted to show you this. Lee from Peak Oil sent me this out, and it's possum and merino knit sweater. Oh, that feels nice and warm. That feels wonderful. That takes the edge off because it's definitely starting to get cold up here now. But check out Peak Oil Company. He does amazing stuff, Lee. So Anyway, the sun is going down fast and it's sunset hour, so I'm going to walk to the top of this mountain and because it looks splendid. Oh wow! Literally above the clouds right now. This is beautiful. Wow. Literally feels like I'm looking out to heaven. And speaking of heaven, I'll have to think about how, so it was recently Easter and a dear friend of mine, he passed away on Easter Saturday. So in between Good Friday and Easter Sunday, and this friend of mine around the same age left behind a wife and 3 kids, and I really admired him. I really think he was one of the good ones, you know. He's just a loving family man, and yeah, it's just a real shame that he lost his battle with cancer. But you know, he was a man of faith. He had a Christian faith, and that gave him a lot of hope towards, you know, having peace towards where he was going to go after he dies. And I have to say, like, he was quite influential on me, and that kind of rubbed off on me. And as a result, I also share the same faith, and that's given me a lot of joy, a lot of comfort, and a lot of inner peace over the years. And I too think about where I'll go when I die, and maybe it'll look a little bit like this. So thank you, Jeremy. I know one day I'll see you there beyond the blue. Getting cold. Okay, it's 6 o'clock, so I'm going to make my dinner. Now, in keeping in line with what the old fellas could have had, I have some jerky in here. Well, it's actually biltong. What I'm going to do is I'm going to boil up a broth, and I'm going to pour that in, and it'll make like a soupy broth, and the jerky or the biltong will go nice and soft. It'll be like a soup. And then to go with that, I have a bread roll. So let's get into this. Wow. Okay, let's try this soup. Mmm.
It was very cold last night. The wind was blowing a bit, but this down cotton sleeping bag did wonders. Really kept me warm. It was a long night though.
Oh, my little hodgepodge makeshift tent held up all right in the night, not too bad. Today's brekkie, the one and only Spam. Oh, Black Betty, Spam a lamb. Now that is what they call a quality breakfast. Fit for a hiking king. I can't express how good this sleeping bag was last night. It just kept me so warm. It was so cold last night. It was icy cold, and this just kept me nice and toasty warm. So guys, check out Dark Moon Hiking. Lucky there's water nearby up here. I've cleared that up as best as I can. Now I'm on my way. Okay, let's see if I can see this. So I started here and I walked up this ridge line like that, and I'm up on the top here. Now I've got to find a way back down to here, and then I could climb up this Spion Kobji mountain, which looks bloody epic, and come back down. There's some water here I can pick up, and then I'll walk along the plains and maybe stay somewhere around here tonight. So it's a good map I've got here. Anyway, I wanted to tell you a little bit of a fun fact that I learnt before doing this hike. Now, I've been doing a bit of reading and listening to a few podcasts on the early bushwalkers of Australia. Now, when you think of the term hiker and the term bushwalker, today you probably think of a hiker as someone who's, you know, doing multi-day walking, very self-sufficient, is carrying everything on their back that they need to survive and to be out in the bush. And a bushwalker, you probably think of someone going for a bit of a stroll, maybe a day walk, something like that. Now, in the early 1900s, that was not the case. It was actually reversed. So bushwalkers were considered the more extreme version of walking. They were self-sufficient, they could go out in the bush, they could sleep overnight, whereas a hiker was considered someone doing a bit of a day walk and, you know, didn't have much gear with them. And there was almost this elitism, which kind of still is there today in the hiking world, but there was an elitism where the bushwalkers, the professional and experienced bushwalkers, kind of looked down on the hikers with their, you know, minimal, well, gear that they weren't prepared to go out and spend the night out in the bush. So it's funny how terminologies can change over the years, and now it's kind of reversed where, yeah, hikers are considered, you know, the more experienced of the two. Let's bring it back, I say. Let's stop using the word hiker or hiking, and let's start using the word bushwalking. I am a bushwalker, not a hiker.
People have always gone walkabout in the bush in this country, beginning with the indigenous, who often linked a walk in the bush to sacred practices or had its roots around their initiation culture. Bush wanderers continued with European settlement, but often this was tied to those men looking for work in rural areas, explorers trying to open the land for pasture, or those on the hunt for gold. After the gold rush of the 1850s, the bush philosopher emerged, men going for strolls in the fresh air of the countryside to inspire them to write poetry and reflect on life. But then something happened in the late 1800s and very early 1900s that has still had a ripple effect up to today. The first bushwalking clubs started to emerge, mostly from Sydney and Melbourne, but later in other states. Middle and upper class men and women from townships who had a passion to get out bush on their weekends or days off. Different clubs had different focuses. Some allowed mixed genders, others were men or women only clubs. Some were more casual, and others were focused on long distance exploring remote areas and bagging mountain peaks. Bushwalking clubs usually attracted eccentric types, but they were also pioneers in a way, the new wave of explorers cutting tracks through areas previously left alone. A modern-day environmental movement seemed to arise from these clubs as they were passionate about preserving our wild places. The bushwalking movement also coincided with women starting to gain more cultural freedoms. It was starting to be more and more publicly acceptable for them to go outdoors and explore the wilderness, as well as wear things like trousers. New technology and outdoor equipment was starting to emerge as well. Perhaps this might be the roots of the lightweight movement, even though the walkers were still using heritage gear like cotton canvas, leather, wool and linen. And with the world wars kicking off, army gear used like rucksacks and gaiters or leg wraps transferred over to the bushwalker, who found them just as useful in the harsh terrain of the Australian wilderness. High country huts were now not only the works of miners and stockmen, but bushwalkers and skiers started building their own as a place of refuge in bad weather. The bushwalking movement of the late 1800s and early 1900s still flows on today, with thousands of Australians heading outdoors on the weekend to get their nature fix. And it's these early pioneers of the bushwalking community that we have to thank today for helping establish wilderness areas, pioneering new tracks, innovating new gear, and creating a culture of walking out in the bush.
Proper rock scrambling now, and some of these rocks are quite loose, so definitely need to watch my footing. This one's going to feel good to get to the top of. And my bag's here, protected from the wind. Let's check this out. For lunch, a bit of scroggin, dried fruit and dried nuts. And I got some jerky as well. Absolutely beautiful. I've been racking my head trying to work out how to pronounce the name of this peak that I'm on. Was it named after a famous person? Is it Spion Kobji? Is it Spion? Like Bjorn, like how a lot of, it sounds kind of Swedish or Norwegian. Spion Kobji? Kobje? I don't know. Let me know in the comments if you can work it out. Oh, good. I was running out of water, and we've got a little running creek here. It's running as well, which is a good sign. I'm going to fill up. And here's this rickety old hut that I've stayed in here before. Awesome, this is where I'm going to spend the night. Ooh, pretty damp. So because the inside of this hut is a bit damp and danky, the floor, I might actually sleep on this iron sheet, or at least lay it down, and then I'll put my ground sheet on, and it'll keep my ground sheet from getting really dirty. Kind of double that over. Oh, jeez, she's rough, but at least it's not cold. I'm sure they didn't have silky saws back in the day, but it helps. So this is a branch that snapped off, eucalyptus, but hasn't been sitting on the ground, so very dry. So all this stuff here, this is really good to get a fire going with the match. Well, I'm all set up for the night. That's my bed. Not a very comfy bed, but at least I'm out of the wind and I can wrap myself up in the oilcloth, so that'll be nice. And that quilt is bloody nice. Here we go. I've got a beer there for later. Baked beans for the brekkie. I got me silky saw there in case I need to use it on any wild dogs in the night or any button men. And there's a little fireplace. And I've got stacked a bunch of dry firewood ready to go. And that's my view. Absolutely beautiful. Soup. Chili. That was by far the best sleep I've had out here. I've been out here in the bush for 3 days now. Sorry, 3 nights. I did another trip before this one. And finally, that was just a deep, deep sleep, even though I was sleeping on a bit of corrugated tin. Maybe there's something got to do with the metals I was sleeping on that lulled me to sleep. And quite a nice bit of dried stacked firewood and kindling and tinder behind there for the next people who come, so hopefully they're thankful for that. Okay, well, it's nice and early. It's still 7:30 and I'm not that far away from the car, but I wanted to do a bit of a side mission this morning. And on the map you can see on the contour lines these rivers, they look like they run down into a very steep gorge, and it looks like there could be some kind of a waterfall there, or just a cool looking gorge or something like that. So it's all off track, so I just want to go and explore. It's not that far away, the walk. I think that'd be a cool little mission to end this trip on, just to go check out and see what I can find. So I've hidden all my stuff behind here with a tin over it, only because this is on a popular trail right here. So it is Anzac Day today, so lest we forget, it was nice watching the sunrise for Anzac Day, but there'll be a lot of people out here today, so I've just hidden this stuff. I mean, you'd think hikers are all good folk, so I should say bushwalkers are all good folk. They shouldn't grab my stuff. Otherwise, I'm off. I'm going to go for a little bit of a wander and see what I can find. I've got just my essentials that I need, emergency medical kit and PLB and all that, so and a bit of water. Let's see what I can find. Alright, now if you can see on these plains, I'm going to be walking all the way down there into that valley. Now you would think I'd just cut straight across here, and I could do that, but this whole area is what's called peatland, like peat swamp, and apparently it's very, very sensitive, and they really do not want you going off track over the peat swamp. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to walk along the high line, just where the trees are, and walk down that way. It's a bit more of a walk, but it just means I'm not tramping through that peat swamp area where there's a lot of frogs and stuff like that. And yeah, like, it's just peace of mind. I don't want to do any damage to it because it is a sensitive alpine area. Okay, it's starting to drop down rapidly into this valley, and it looks like there will be a gorge there. So again, I'm just hugging the tree line so I don't disturb the peat, but you can see up there is where the peat swamp is, and now it's turned into a little creek that's going to run down, and I'm hoping there'll be some kind of a waterfall there. Check it out, there's a mini waterfall here. Cool. I'm going to walk a little bit further down the gorge and see if I can find a bigger one. I reckon there'll be quite a few. Jeez, terrain is getting slippery and treacherous now. Now, where I was trying to aim was around here and then again that gully, but I'm seeing the terrain is just, I mean, it's doable, but I'm not going to do it this morning. But it looks like there's a bit of a drop right here, and there could be a waterfall right here. The question is how to get down there. Woohoo! I found my waterfall. Not a bad spot for a brekkie. cold beans from the tin. Well everyone, I think the trip would not be complete unless I had a shower in there. So that's what I'm going to go try and attempt to do. First, now this stuff is very slippery, so okay. Woo-hoo-hoo, it's cold. It's cold. Oh man. Well, back to the hut to pick up my things, and that concludes this adventure. And I really enjoyed this 3-day hike, and just, you know, experiencing a little bit of what the old timers, the old bushwalkers would have experienced with the kind of gear that they used. Now, you know, whatever you use when you get out in the bush, as long as you're getting out there, that's great. But I do have to say, this trip makes me realize how feasible it is to go out in the bush, in the remote outdoors, with the kind of gear that the old timers use, the old bushwalkers. And sure, it's a little bit more uncomfortable, but I think we're a little bit obsessed with comfort in the Western world, aren't we? Like, when you go out in the bush and go on an adventure, do you really need to be as comfortable as possible? I don't know. It's up to you. It's up to everyone to make that decision for themselves, but I just want to say that I highly encourage others to give it a go. Use wool, use canvas, use cotton, use leather, and yeah, it's just something about it connects you to the environment, I believe. Nobody's taking my stuff. That's good. Well, that's it for this video, everyone. Thank you so much for watching. If you've liked it, do all that good stuff of leaving a comment, liking it, sharing it. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed to yet. You can join up and become a member or a Patreon member if you want to support the channel. But otherwise, I just want to say thank you for getting this far to the very end of the video. Thank you for watching. Have a good one, guys.